On June 18, 2003, an image was posted online that would go viral and eventually break the internet. This photo of a strange, gelatinous fish with a gaping black mouth and beady little eyes quickly became one of the most infamous images on the web. People everywhere fell in love with its apparent hideousness, and the blobfish became an overnight sensation, spawning countless memes and even its own Facebook group, the UAPs, or Ugly Animal Preservation Society. But this is where things get really interesting, because while everyone thought they knew what the blobfish looked like, few people had any idea what it actually looks like. That's because the fish in the picture wasn't a blobfish at all. It was just a normal blobfish that had been yanked from its home more than 2,000 miles below the surface. And once exposed to the air, its body underwent some dramatic changes. Welcome back, everyone. Here you're about to discover the shocking truth behind the world's ugliest animal. You'll journey 3,000 feet underwater to meet the real blobfish in its natural habitat. And you'll find out why one of the ocean's most misunderstood creatures became an international sensation and an unlikely hero for the future of our planet. But before we dive into the deep, dark depths of this incredible mystery, be sure to hit that like button for more amazing adventures brought to you every week. Our story begins in the murky depths of Australia's Newcastle fish market in 2003, when a trawler arrived carrying a haul of deep-sea fish caught more than 2,000 miles off the coast. Among them were several blobfish, also known as the most ugly animal in the world. No joke, that's literally the name that scientists gave it. But you'd never know it by looking at these bizarre-looking creatures.
Ooh.
To the untrained eye, they look like pink water balloons filled with peanut butter and spaghetti. Or maybe they resemble golden retrievers who got their heads stuck in a car wash. Whatever you think they look like, one thing's for sure, they definitely don't look like the photos that circulated the internet. But here's the thing. Those photos didn't do a great job of capturing what the blobfish normally looks like either. That's because they weren't taken anywhere near the fish's natural habitat. And without understanding why this fish looked so distorted, no one appreciated the true horror of the situation. See, it all comes down to pressure. At the fish's natural depth, around 2,000 feet below the surface, it's subjected to hundreds of times more pressure than we experience at sea level. This extreme pressure keeps the gas in their swim bladder, which helps control buoyancy at a constant volume. So while they're underwater, they have a normal appearance and are perfectly adapted to survive in their environment. But bring them to the surface too quickly, and the pressure drops dramatically. Because there's still gas inside their swim bladder, their body gets stretched out of shape until it looks like someone squeezed it through a pasta maker set on puree. To understand just how much pressure these blobfish experience at depth, consider this. Every 10 meters or 33 feet below the surface, the pressure increases by 1 atmosphere. This means that at 2,000 feet, there's over 200 atmospheres of pressure. To put that in perspective, the highest pressure ever recorded on Earth was 260 atmospheres, which is equivalent to being almost 9,000 feet beneath the surface. At that kind of pressure, a human would be utterly crushed and turned into pancake batter. But the blobfish not only survives, it thrives. In fact, it's perfectly adapted to not only handle this extreme pressure, but use it to its advantage. They essentially use pressure as a way to breathe, sucking oxygen into their bodies through their skin. If they tried to gulp it down like other fish, the crushing pressure would keep their mouth fully shut. So instead, they rely on osmosis to get the job done. Their gelatinous flesh allows water to pass freely in and out of their body, carrying oxygen with it. And this works perfectly in their extremely slow-moving world where energy conservation is key. With their mouths full of thick, gummy flesh that tastes like chalk, blobfish have no need to venture far in search of food. Instead, they sit patiently and wait for small crustaceans like sea lice and zooplankton to drift past. Then they simply open their mouths and filter the tiny morsels of food through their gill plates, extracting nutrients and spitting out the rest. In fact, blobfish are so slow-moving that their metabolism is 10 times slower than most fish. And instead of having active hunting instincts, they employ what's known as ambush, predatory behavior. Basically, they wait for food to come to them, snatching it up when it gets close enough. But their lazy approach to hunting has a downside. Blobfish are terrible at escaping danger. When faced with a predator, they can't outrun, outswim, or outmaneuver their attacker. So they rely on camouflage to stay safe. With their pale pink bodies, They blend in perfectly with the dark waters of the deep sea, making it hard for predators to spot them. This strategy works surprisingly well, especially since many predators rely on sight to hunt. But for those predators who aren't visually oriented, like the blobfish's main predator, the ninja lantern shark, it doesn't matter how well camouflaged the blobfish is. These sharks use special organs called ampulla of Lorenzini to detect the weak electrical fields generated by most living creatures. Since blobfish lack these receptors, they don't produce a detectable signal. This gives them a false sense of security. Sadly though, as humans continue to venture further into the deep sea in search of new species and uncharted territory, they're accidentally destroying many creatures' homes, including the blobfish. Scientists estimate that currently over 6 billion fish are caught as bycatch each year, and some estimates suggest that as many as 90% of deep-sea species could be threatened by deep-sea fishing. Unfortunately, the blobfish's extreme adaptations make it particularly vulnerable to habitat destruction. Its lack of mobility means it can't escape to deeper waters as the ocean's chemistry changes, and it's too sluggish to move to a different feeding ground if its usual source of food disappears. Not to mention its poor eyesight, which means it might not even realize dangers lurking nearby. But perhaps the most concerning is its unique way of breathing through its skin. When its environment is disrupted, whether by changes in temperature, pressure, or oxygen levels, the blobfish can suffocate within minutes. As researchers continue to explore the deep sea, they're discovering new threats to the blobfish, like plastic pollution and noise pollution from shipping and drilling. To make matters worse, it can take years for scientists to learn about these threats and develop strategies to mitigate them. In the meantime, the blobfish continues to decline, leading some experts to believe that it could disappear altogether within a decade. But despite the odds stacked against them, there's hope on the horizon. Thanks to the efforts of dedicated marine biologists, conservationists, and everyday citizens like you, we can all help protect these incredible creatures and ensure that they continue to thrive for generations to come. Take Andrew Stewart, for example, a professor of marine and environmental sciences at the University of Newcastle in Australia. He's been studying the effects of deep-sea fishing on benthic ecosystems since the early 1990s. His research focuses on understanding how different fishing methods impact the diversity and abundance of fish and invertebrates in the deep sea. Armed with this knowledge, he can help develop better fishing practices that minimize the negative impacts on fragile ecosystems like the one the blobfish calls home. Another organization making waves in the world of marine conservation is the Australian Marine Conservation Society, or AMCs. Founded in 1977, the AMCs is dedicated to protecting our oceans and the species that live in them. One of their key initiatives is the Reef Rescue Program, which aims to restore damaged coral reefs by planting new coral colonies and removing invasive species. The program has been highly successful, with over 100,000 corals planted and thousands of volunteers trained in reef restoration techniques. Like the AMCs are volunteering your time and energy to clean up local waterways and raise awareness about the importance of marine conservation, it's important to remember that every small step counts, and together we can make a big splash. When the world first laid eyes on the blobfish, it seemed like an instant classic meme waiting to happen. Its odd appearance and unfortunate circumstances made it the perfect candidate for online ridicule. But instead of embracing its ugliness, the internet did something remarkable. It rallied around the blobfish, raising awareness and funds for its protection. The Ugly Animal Preservation Society, or UAPs, was founded in 2008 with the goal of protecting and conserving ugly animals. While not all ugly animals receive the same level of attention, the blobfish was the perfect poster child for this new movement. It is estimated that millions of dollars have been raised for various charities that focus on marine conservation thanks in part to the popularity of the blobfish. And who knows, maybe the blobfish will end up being more famous than beautiful creatures like dolphins and whales. But regardless of how you feel about the blobfish's appearance, one thing's for sure, it's an important reminder that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and that sometimes the ugliest animals need our help the most. Did you know there are over 50,000 known species of fish in the ocean, and new ones are being discovered all the time? Some are beautiful, some are scary, and some are just plain weird. But they all play an important role in keeping our planet healthy. We hope you enjoyed learning about the blobfish and its unique adaptations and challenges. It's a creature that may not be the prettiest, but certainly deserves our admiration and protection. Speaking of admiration, we want to say thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more exciting adventures into the wild world of marine biology and oceanography. Who knows, you might even learn a thing or two along the way.